and get everything settled so that we are proper for week 2 of the training. All right. Okay. So by 5:10 bang on, we would start. Thank you so much for that, Zainab. I really appreciate that. Okay. I'm just going to mute my mic and I'll just switch off my video just for a minute or two. All right, so welcome everybody. Welcome to day 2 of our training, and I believe you've been having value for everything that's been shared thus far in this training. Tonight we have a very good friend of mine with us, and we've known each other for at least more than a decade now, and I've known him to be very consistent at what he does. His name is Toby Anifowoshe. He's a senior software engineer, and he has about close to a decade worth of experience, right, in building scalable software solutions, right? And this has been across healthcare industry. I also know, because I know him a bit more personally, that he's also partnered with the federal government of Nigeria, right, to build scalable health projects. He's a first class graduate of electrical and electronics engineering, and obviously you know that's not an easy feat to achieve, right? His work focuses on designing resilient systems that drive sustainable business impact while meeting complex objectives, right? Abdul Toby also is the co-founder of PHP Sandbox, which is more like a software, but I'm not going to go deep into that, right? But basically a software obviously used by PHP developers. And he's also the founder of BookLink, which is a platform that allows authors to publish and sell their books online. So he's also a very key and an active contributor to the developer community, right? As he has spoken in various meetings, various conferences on software craftsmanship and system designs. So, so Toby, we are really honored to have Toby in our midst tonight, and it would really, really be pouring into us. He's prepared to help us and offer his wealth of experience in this industry to help us, especially for those that are just transitioning into tech, or for those that are trying to scale up, right? Toby is someone that you really want to listen to, right? So so everybody, welcome Anifowoshe Toby as he runs through. And can we have the clap? We can do better, right? Let me see the claps, please. Let me see the claps as we welcome Toby for tonight's session. So Toby, you are right on the spotlight. The floor is yours. Thank you so much, Toby.
All right, thanks, Kupe. I wish Google Meet had a feature where as you are clapping, I just hear a sound here. So thank you so much. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I mean, it's so glad to see what's going on here. Thank you so much, Kupe, for putting this together. It's a lot of work, right? And like you said, the fact that it's free does not really mean it is free. It simply means someone else is paying for it. And that payment could also be in terms of time, sacrifice, and all of that. For example, having this, is one of it. So, great job by everyone involved in putting this together. Okay. So I'll just dive right into my slides, and I will share my screen. So today we want to focus on something very specific, and that is how does your learning of tech skills how is it affected by the recent, widespread of AI adoption, right? And how can you position yourself in a way that your future self will be glad that you did? Okay, that's going to be the focus of my talk tonight. To start with, is there someone here that has never heard of ChatGPT or Cloud or Gemini? Okay. I mean, if you haven't, I'll probably want to check in if you just came back from the moon, right? Because this is something that is everywhere. But I would love to hear from you guys. What are the AI tools that you've used, let's say, in the last 7 days? Can you just drop comments in the chat? What AI tools have you used in the last 7 days? ChatGPT. I mean, that was probably they were the ones that started the whole thing. DeepSeek, Perplexity. I mean, it's not that I've used Perplexity, but I know it's also very cool. Gemini, Grok. I never thought AI would come on Twitter. I heard they had to limit the usage for Nigerians. I said, you don't know what you don't know. Cool bots, yeah. Okay, so let me just share my screen. So, learning tech skills in the AI era. I'm going to start by introducing myself. A lot of things already, and he's qualified to say all of it because we've been friends for over a decade, like you said. And so to start with, I'm a software engineer. I work primarily with Tightline software. I also work at Savings Healthcare. I'll just stop there. I have.
Please blow this trumpet. Blow it.
As a matter of fact, I wrote my first line of code in 2014, January 2014. That was when I wrote my first line of code. So that's well over 10 years. Platform that allows independent writers, authors to sell their books online. I'm also a software engineering instructor. I organize boot camps to teach people. As I was last year, I'm a Liverpool fan, right? If I said this in January, I would have added a lot of things to it. But for now,
Dude, already you're walking alone.
Okay, all right. So let's go into the subject now. There have been a lot of questions, and these questions probably didn't exist some 1 year ago. Let me give you an example. I remember someone that is a mentor to me is very years ago when we had conversations about AI. Even 2 years ago, it was like, oh, don't worry, AI won't replace you. AI, I mean, I've used it and all of that. But the same guy was speaking with me 1 month ago, and it was like, Toby, you have to prepare for this thing. Applies to me. I mean, sometime 1 year ago, I believe people was also involved in that conversation. We had a conversation around AI replacing people and things like that, and replacing skill sets. December, my own view has also changed. So there are now new questions that are being asked. For example, will AI replace me? If you are conversant on Twitter, sometime last that it was reducing his company, those that are building Blue Sky, they were reducing by almost 30% or 40% thereabout. And his excuse was that they have now adopted a. It's not because the company was not making money. He mentioned that they were even making more money than they were before. Right? He just felt that their roles became redundant due to the company's adoption of AI. Now, that's really concerning. To be honest, when I saw it, a lot of questions come up, right? Will AI replace me? Point still learning tech skills, right? Because now you have people that didn't spend the number of hours you have spent learning, and it seems as though they can almost do the same things you can do, right? I have a friend of mine, we're working on a project together. Usually he waits for me and disturbs me, to find time to work on some of the features that we need on the platform. But recently I just saw that the guy was just pushing code. I'm like, you're a designer. How are you pushing code, right? The guy is already using cloud, anti-gravity, and all of that. And I checked the code, looks good to me. There are sometimes I will flag some of it and be like, no, read some, revert it, right? But the key thing is that it seems as if you don't need to learn to do some things again, right? Because with AI, you can almost do anything, right? Probably you can even build a nuclear bomb, who knows, right? So, but it just is as if AI can do all things. And so now there's now a new field called automation engineering, right? And their own job is to learn different AI tools to set up automations and all of that, right? And some are wondering, should I just learn that instead of wasting my time learning MySQL and inner join, outer join, left outer join, all of those jargons, right? Because AI seems to be able to do everything in our world today. So there's a lot of concern, to be honest with you, in the tech community as well. There's a lot of concern that people have, right? AI writes code, AI can analyze data. That's pie chart that you are still struggling to figure out. AI can do it, right? The analysis you're trying to do, AI can do it. So is all of this still worth it? Maybe all of us should go back to the farm, right? And just become farmers. So let's look at the current trends, right? Because the truth is, these concerns are not, they are not invalid, right? Current trends shows that team sizes are shrinking. Companies are cutting headcounts through layoffs. Just yesterday, Kuda Bank still announced a massive layoff, right, of a significant number of their staffs, right? So team sizes are shrinking, and that's the fact, right? We can't do anything about that. Now, entry-level roles are tougher. Now, I interview people for roles, right, for a couple of companies. And what I can tell you is that what I would accept from you as an entry-level person 2 years ago, I will accept it now, right? And it's not because, what has changed? It's just because I expect you to have also adapted to how the world is changing, right? That's the only thing that has changed. So, entry-level roles are tougher, and productivity expectations are up. So last 2 weeks ago, I completed a task that would normally take me 3 days. I completed it and truth be told, I didn't even use AI. It was a very difficult task. I decided I was going to use my brain. I wanted to stretch my brain, and I did. And when I told it to a call, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, nice. I mean, this was the same thing that it was some 1 year ago, but I got a lot of applause and thumbs. But you kind of feel like productivity should increase. AI is everywhere, right? So that's the current. So what does that mean for you, right? What can you take away from that? Now, there's an historical pattern, and I'm going to show you, as we progress in this talk, right? Historically, right, there would always be new technologies, right? Our own day and age, AI seems to be the big thing now, right? But there was a time when the big thing was electricity. Time when the big thing was the mobile phone. There was a time when the big thing was the internet. So new technologies would always emerge. So even after AI, there will still be another new technology that will emerge at some point. I don't know if that will happen in our lifetime. Now, whenever new technologies emerge, one thing you would always see is that the nature of tasks that people do will change. right? We see more automation. For example, people move from plowing fields with their hands and all of that to using tractors and all of that. So tasks would always get automated because technology would always find easier ways of getting it done. But when this happens, what we'll also see is that people panic. And I mean, why would they panic? It spends 7 years, studying in a school to become a medical doctor. And the year you are graduating, you are discovering that there are now robots that can do surgical operations better than humans, right? I mean, you almost feel like, what did I spend 7 years doing? So people panic. But while some people panic, what is out is that new roles would emerge. And I'll show you examples very soon, right? New roles emerge, and there will be a set of people that would adapt to this change. And at the end of the day, they win. Now, not just that they win, more often than not, those that adapt very quickly, they become the frontiers of that change. And in some cases, they become the next set of billionaires that we see. Amazon, Facebook, they were all products of the .com boom that happened in the 90s. Right, and they were able to adapt, and today they are the big giants that we see. So let's look at examples. So there's something called the Industrial Revolution, right? That was when we had, widespread use of machines and all of that. Now, prior to that time, one of the things that even drove the slave trade was because people had to manually do things on their farm, right? And you needed, people for that. So, but when the Industrial Revolution happened, we had the train, the tractors, and all of that. Now, people panic. And what was the panic? Machines was going to replace manual labor. Guess what? It did. So there's really nothing you can do about that, right? But the other side of it that people don't see is that the guy that was plowing on the field, he did not become intrinsically useless at that point, right? It's just that his role got redefined. Now, something crucial I want you to see in this example is that it's not as though the guy can't do anything again, right? For example, the tractor on his farm is just a new tool, the same way his cutlass and hoes were tools, right? The tractor is just a new, maybe more sophisticated tool. But he still has the old knowledge of, okay, if we want to harvest a cocoa tree, right, this is how we do it. If we want to harvest this, these are the procedures. These are things you shouldn't do. He still has all of that knowledge, but if he's afraid, right, and he panics, does not adapt, it will seem as though new people have taken over his job, but in the real sense, it was just one that refused, to adapt. So look at another example, accounting. Now, there was a time when everything had to be manual on paper, right? And you can imagine how laborious this must have been. Quickly, I was watching a documentary on the history of pi. Pi, 22/7. And I was reading out that some people were trying to derive pi to the nearest 1,000, to the nearest 5,000, and they sat down on paper using pen and paper to be calculating it. I don't know that kind of passion, right? So there was a time when accounting everything had to be done on paper, but then we had spreadsheets. Now, you probably are not in the accounting field, so you don't understand the kind of revolution that. And even today, we have accounting softwares, okay? Now, the truth is that I have a personal app I use to keep track of my expenses and budget and all of that. Well, it wouldn't make me to become an accountant at Zenith Bank, right? So the tools changed, and maybe there was a bit of democratization of the process, right? In the sense that lower, right? So every regular person that didn't study accounting in school seems to be able to just download an app and they can, do the same thing the accountant will do. But you should be amazed that no bank will employ you because you can download an app and do what an accountant can do. Knowledge remains with them. What is changing are the tools. And with changes in the tools, expectations also change. So the accounts, back in business studies in my junior secondary school, they taught us trial balance. I was not cut out for those kind of things. So, the fact that, but an accountant is trained in all of these things. The fact that you have ideas about them and can do them with an app does not qualify, because nobody will. So tools changed. So what happens to the person that does not quickly embrace the use of spreadsheets? They face out, right? Let's look at another example, music production. Now, I'm so sure many of you download an app that you can use to mix and match music, right? I can even put it there, DJ tunes on the beat, blah, blah, blah. I know you're enjoying yourself. But, Olamide will not do. That's not going to happen. The guy is going to pay millions of dollars to a professional to help him in his next music production. Now, again, there was a time when all of this was analog, but now you mostly see them with just it is not a new thing, right? And that is exactly the same thing that has happened in the case of with the advent of AI. Tools change. It's as simple as that. I've even seen people who now use AI to produce music, but you also see people complain that thing does not have human touch, and that's the truth, right? Imagine machine singing for you. Even the thought of it feels somehow. So, but the thing is that all of these tools, right? It seems as though they reduce the barrier to entry, but for the experts in the field who have deep understanding, of what the field entails, these new tools does something to them. It makes them ridiculously productive, right? It makes them productive. So, and that's what I'm driving at, with the examples that I've shown you. So let's look at this. The pattern is clear. With every revolution, repetitive and manual execution of tasks would die, right? Organization would die. Speed of basic operations would die, right? Tools used for work at that moment would phase out. But there are some things that would always remain. Number one, problem solving and critical thinking. AI can never replace that. There's no tool that can replace that. Okay? Adaptation. I remember when we did, Mr. Ninja D or something. Jesus. At some point, they said now Mr. Ninja Lack.
Really?
I don't know. They said they put locomotion, something. So, but what I'm saying is that part of the things that show you are a living thing is that you can adapt.
Yeah.
Right? So, adapting, human judgment and creativity, these things don't change. Right? The fundamentals don't change. So the tools can change, but the fundamentals will not change. Okay? So let me give you an example. Do you know that you can feel some symptoms in your body and go to ChatGPT, right? And you describe what you are feeling, and ChatGPT tells you, what you have is gastrointestinal cancer. And you're like, my own is finished, right? And it will not even tell you more symptoms you didn't notice you were feeling, right? That you begin to feel immediately you read it. But the truth is that maybe one of the things that you forgot to tell ChatGPT is that maybe your urination has become more frequent. And that singular symptom you refuse to say changes the entire picture. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, what I'm driving at is that you using ChatGPT and your doctor using ChatGPT, you are doing two different things, right? So your doctor is able to make more informed decision with the help of ChatGPT, but you using ChatGPT, at times can even be dangerous to your health, right? So where I'm driving at is that there's a fundamental knowledge that every profession has, and tools don't change them. In fact, what tools do is to amplify them. Okay, so I wrote here that AI isn't replacing humans, it is redefining what valuable work means. And this is crucial, right? It is redefining what valuable human work means. So earlier this year in January, I lead a set of engineers, software engineers, and I put up all of them together. And I told them, I said, listen, up until now, right, it seems, notice my use of word, seems. It seems as though the most important thing you contribute to this company is the code you write, right? And that is fine. I said, but the truth is that going forward, that has to change because that code is now very cheap. You can put together AI agents that will spin up what you will do in 1 week. You know, it's like when you open Cloud and you tell Cloud what to do. Cloud will say, this thing will take us 3 weeks. I'll be like, yes, I know. Yeah, starts. And in 10 minutes, we are done. Right? So I told them, I said, your value to the company has to change because the code itself now is no longer the most important thing you are contributing to the company again. Right? So AI is redefining what valuable human work is, and it is doing this across all fields. So your own question should be, what is this shift? Like, where is this shift going to? And how can I align myself to it? So, for instance, you know, data analysis, right? Where is the shift going to? There was a time when, you know, your work as data analyst is compile everything, clean the data, put everything on the spreadsheet, start drawing graphs and stuff like that. But with the advent of AI, how is it redefining the work we are doing here?
Yeah.
Right. So that will put you at the edge, at the edge of the curve, right? And you know, in no time find yourself as one of the frontiers in the field. So for developers, right, before AI, right, the focus was, can you write clean code? Can you memorize syntax? Like if I give you a live coding interview, can you write the syntax to solve the problem and all of those things? But all of that does not matter again because AI can do them. And the truth is this, with every revolution, like I was showing earlier, one of the things they do is that they allow machines do repetitive work so that humans can focus on what really matters. So you as a developer, for example, you can now focus on system design, right? System architecture, evaluating trade-offs, making decisions, right? Should we go this way or should we go this way? Based on business needs, right? AI can do that for you, right? So you can get to focus your attention on doing all of that. And for a data analyst, right, there are some things you probably will find AI tools that can do them now, you know, drawing the charts, the graphs, and all of that. You know, you'll probably find AI tools that can do that. But let me tell you what AI can do. AI can tie the results to your business, right? It can connect insights to business decisions.
Yeah.
Because AI can never have the entire context it needs to make these decisions.
Yeah, very true.
It can never, right? Because the way these things work, like, I mean, if you have used AI a lot, you discover that you introduce a new information and it just be like, based on this new information, you now changes things. You say, wow. You introduce a new information again, it says, wait, let me think. Then it comes with you with something totally different. But you are the human in the business, right? AI would not help you interpret your results because you are the one that have the business context.
Yeah.
So again, the role is just being redefined, right? What is valuable about the role is just being redefined, right? So, and that would help you to properly position yourself for the changes that are coming in the field, right? So how then do you position yourself? And the first thing I wrote here is master the fundamentals.
Yeah.
That goes back to what I said at the very beginning, right? Master the fundamentals. Now, it seems as though the barrier of entry is now very low and anybody can do anything without previously learning it. And I'm serious. I mean, I use AI a lot, right? I use it a lot. But there are times when, for example, there was a day I was using AI to implement a task. And at some point, the guy started struggling with something. And, part of the reasoning was, I am stuck with figuring out why this transaction is not being committed. I have tried different approaches. I was just reading that. I was like, dude, you are supposed to be intelligent now.
AI.
And then I had to stop it, and I told it, just comment out that line and you'll be good. Then, when I told it to continue, it was like, the user has given me the right solution to this problem. So it'd be like, I'm now more intelligent than you. But the fundamentals can never go away. That is why if you still go for interviews today, nobody will put AI in front of you and say, start using it. What they want to know is still your understanding of the fundamentals. For example, you are choosing a particular tool in the analysis of your data. Why did you choose it? I mean, you won't go to your boss and say that the AI chose the tool. No, you won't. Right? Why a line graph instead of a pie chart? Why? Why do you have this query that is taking eternity to run? Because you have not added indexes to some fields, right? So there was a time I was working on a feature on PHP Sandbox, and I wrote a query, and we deployed the query to production, and the query literally broke down our database. Our PHP Sandbox was offline for like 3 to 4 hours.
Wow.
Because our database was not responsive.
Wow.
This happened sometime around 2021. And when I saw the deployment itself was taking eternity. So I had to quickly ping Bosun that Bosun was going on.
Something is happening here.
Investigating. Right? So I don't want you to find yourself in that position where you write a query that will throw off your team's database. So, and the only explanation you have is that that's what the AI generated. Fundamentals would always remain. And that is what matters. Okay? Because, what some people do today is to just say, AI, do this, and they just trust everything it does. Let me give you another example. Something happened to me last month. Right, I was setting up a server, right, in preparation to host a side project I was working on. And guess what? I experienced, I don't know if you have heard of it, there's something called prompt injection, right? It is a security risk, right, where hackers can take advantage of you using AI to hack into your system. And I experienced prompt injection. Because what I did was I just created a server, and I gave an AI agent to set up everything I need on the server. And in the process of the AI agent doing that, it got susceptible to that attack. And someone started using my server to mine crypto.
Wow.
My own server.
Wow.
So if my own software that I was running on it was now struggling for space and memory. But guess what? Immediately I saw what was happening. I immediately knew, okay, I just ran a command, saw the process I was running. I was like, so fast. And of course, I was able to kick the person off and secured the server better. But imagine you don't even know such a thing exists. You can't describe what you don't know. You can't. You can't frame a problem you don't know to an AI agent. So, which again is why the fundamentals are very important. There was a time I was trying to implement a feature on an internal tool I used to manage one of my engineering teams. And, I was trying to tell the AI, this is what I want. The AI, knowing that what I want was difficult, was now trying to find, work around, right? And it was trying to find, can you see my screen?
No.
No, yeah, my screen just went off. I'll just reshare. So the AI was trying to look for workaround, right? So it implemented it in a certain way initially. I was like, no, this is not what I want. this is not the way she implements it. It was like, the user is not satisfied with this response. Okay, then he tried another one. I was like, no, until I gave it very specific instructions, use a WebSocket, blah, blah, blah. And, it was able to get it done. So the fundamentals would never go away. And that is very important. For example, you as a data analyst, AI would not help you collect relevant data.
Mm-hmm.
You are the one that will go to the field to understand the data that is relevant and gather them, right? So the fundamentals are critical. And I'm really stressing on this point because there's a dangerous trend that I'm seeing, okay? Many of the businesses that focus on teaching people, right? Businesses like Laracast, even O'Reilly and some of these guys, they've made reports that people now feel that AI can just do it, right? But it's a bubble and it will burst before the year runs out. That's the truth. Because listen to me, I've spent some time in this field, so I know what I'm saying. When shit hits the fan, people dump AI and focus on the real thing, right? And that's the truth. So what you know matters. You won't be able to ask the right questions if you don't have the right understanding. Okay? So AI should not lead and you follow. No, you take the lead and see AI as that assistant that seems to have knowledge about everything but can be dumb sometimes, right? So master the fundamentals, right? If an AI is making a mistake, can you spot it? If an AI has generated a query for you and that query will not work, can you see it before you even run the query? Right? It is very important, right? Don't just be the kind of person that you just AI has generated it, boom, pack it, go and run it. You just go and run, delete everything, and then database is empty. That's explain, you go just explain tire, no evidence.
No evidence.
Right. So you must never allow AI to take the lead and you follow. No. You must be the one taking the lead. So I'm stressing a lot on this because it is critical. So I was speaking with a friend of mine who is doing his master's in the US, right? And he's doing it in robotics. And he told me, he said, whenever he's stuck, right, and he needs to figure out, he's stuck on a problem, his professor will always tell him, go back to the fundamentals, right? These are fundamental, incontrovertible facts that we know, right? And sometimes Elon Musk was saying something along the line as well. Okay, so let me move on. I spent a lot of time here. So again, still on positioning yourself. The second part would be embrace the AI tools, right? Embrace them like you do any other tools that you use for work. Now, this is the other side of people are struggling with. And it's understandable, right? Imagine me, for example, I've spent so many years in the field, and all of a sudden it seems as if AI has come, and techniques I spent weeks perfecting, AI can just boom, do it, and you can even solve big problems now. Nobody will even tell you well done because in their mind somewhere it was AI now. It was AI that did it, right? But you need to embrace the tools. You can't afford to ignore them. If you ignore them, you become difficult. It used to be years. Then if you ignore them now, you will be relevant in weeks, right? Because these tools keep becoming more intelligent. They keep, their capabilities keep increasing. So you can't afford to ignore them, right? Keep yourself up to date with the latest AI tools in your field. So as a data analyst, if I'm speaking with you, you should be able to tell me the latest 5 AI tools that data analysts are using to make it easier, right? You need to tell me the AI tools that AI has, that they've recently introduced. You need to be able to tell me, that data, right? Keep changing, because you are in a world now where productivity is no longer a luxury. It's now the biggest minimum that is expected of work now. So any way you can use AI to help yourself become more productive, right? Now, there are some set of people that they just give an AI a task and they say, oh, do this, and the AI does it, and they'll be like, if it's not like me, I wouldn't tell the AI, thank you, and they'll be, you shouldn't just do that and go, right? For instance, I was trying to solve a problem some weeks ago. It's a difficult problem, right? It involves integrating with a bank and stuff like that. Something I've not done before, right? I've read a few things about it, but I've not had to do it. So I asked the AI to explain the thought process, and it's created this full list to me based on my fundamental understanding of how these systems work. And I started asking it a couple of questions. Okay, what if this happens? When I asked it a particular question, like, I didn't consider that. I was like, you want me to start basic? This is people's money. And but bottom line is that by the time I finished executing that task, I knew more than I did before I started working on that task. So AI can accelerate your learning in ways you can't imagine. That is how you should be using it. Again, AI should not lead while you follow. You should be the one taking the lead while AI follows. Okay? So, curious, how can I test the limit of what this thing can do? So, last December, I wanted to recreate my my portfolio website, and I decided I don't want to write that line of code. I mean, let me even see what this anti-gravity tool can do. And what I did was, so I opened it up, told what I wanted to do. He said, steps, right? And everything. That's what they call this. It's always nice. And so he told me, how do you want it to look like? I thought so much about describing, but the truth is this. Listen, I'm not a UI UX designer, so I don't even know how to make the when I was reading the book, there was one part I had this opacity. I described the AI was confused. You can't even know what to do. So the designer of mine, the designer friend now says, oh, in how to the AI exactly what to do, and it solved the problem. Again, go back to the fundamental thing I said earlier, right? So I gave this AI agent, I gave it 3 websites, and I said, can I give you a website you thought and you help me come up with mine? And the guy was like, yeah, sure. I was like, wow. I mean, that something like that is even possible. So I gave 3 websites, and then to open up my browser, set the website, took pictures, and all of that. And in about 15 minutes, it created my portfolio website, and I loved it. It was very beautiful. I really loved it. There's no way I could have imagined to create something like that. I'm not a designer, I'm not a front-end developer, I do systems and engineering. So, but where I'm going to is be curious. The manufacturers have told you that this is what this AI can do, but you can even push it. And what else can you do apart from as far as you're not building nuclear bomb? I'm just to help you in whatever ways that you need the help. So be curious. Embrace these tools, right? Because productivity is no longer a luxury. It's now a bare requirement. It's the basic requirement of your job. Jobs that take me a week to do previously, my manager now expects me to finish it in a day or 2 because they expect me to use AI tools. So that's why I said, when I'm interviewing, my expectation from you changes. There's an internship I recruit people for, right? Before now, right? I mean, we recruit people, they come in and all that. But now they are doing 4 times what they used to do 2 years ago. Why? Because we expect that with AI tools, you should be able to deliver 4 times. If you are not, it means you are not fit to work for us. Right? So it is very important. So the way to position yourself in this AI era is, number 1, master fundamentals. Like, You must be well grounded in that. And what that then means is that your learning still never stops. Okay? Your learning still never stops because AI does not become the guy leading. No. Your learning never stops. Learning continues. Right? So master the fundamentals, embrace AI tools as possible. So I have this here, right? The fundamental is fighting right now. Now, before the widespread of AI, right? If you have a guy that is very strong in the fundamentals and you have another guy that is very weak in the fundamentals, right? Maybe you have a guy that knows MySQL very well. I have another guy that the only thing he knows in MySQL is just select, delete, and join. That's all. Once you mention common table expression, you'll be like, what does that mean? Once you mention, you'll be like, see, select, delete, and what you and just what there's nothing I can do with it. Just like that. Now, before the AI era, okay, you look at their outputs, the difference will be there, but it won't be much, right? Maybe 2 to 3 times. The quality is also there, but because the volume of work they are required to do is not so much, so the quality difference would be so noticeable, right? Or let's say it would be manageable, and that difference won't be so much, right? But in the AI era, what changes is the volume of work outputs. So what does that mean? That speed difference that didn't matter before becomes a wide gap, right? Because again, you're now dealing with volume. Quality difference that was maybe manageable before, all of a sudden, right? You are shipping code every week, and we are hitting bugs like consistently, right? Or you are the one that always writes the MySQL code that will always bring down the server for some weird reasons and stuff like that. That difference will be very, very noticeable.
Yeah.
Okay. And
for this section, thank you very much for your time and your sacrifice. So, quick question: what I wanted to ask is, in a generation where most of the tools that we use this time or that we try to do now is self-learning, because there are some programs that offer AI to usage, such as learning prompts and the likes. So for an individual who is self-learning, how do what I'm actually trying to talk about is certification and all of that, because you can't actually tell somebody that I know this thing without having a proof, or should I say having a portfolio of something that you've worked on to actually say, okay, this is what I know, this is what I can do. So how do we present ourselves as a professional, like, okay, this is what I can do and this is what I can do with this tool without certification? I don't know if you're able to answer that. Sorry.
Okay, should I take that now?
Yeah, sure. You can carry on.
Okay. That's a good question, and I'll just be sincere with you. Personally, I don't have any certification. For now, I don't have any certification. The person I respect so much, highly respect in the tech field. He has over 30 years of experience, and he's probably the smartest engineer I've ever met in my entire life. Right? If I call him the second life, I don't even know if I'll meet another person. He doesn't have any certification. He has 0. So where am I driving at? Certifications are good. Now don't let me deceive you, right? Because I'm on course to get 3 certifications this year. So I'm just saying I don't have any up to now. So certifications are good in the sense that they can open up doors to some rooms for you. But the truth is this: for someone self-learning, what matters more is, do you have a volume of work online that people can easily refer to? Okay. So for example, for me now, right, the last time I interviewed for a job, that was years ago, right? The interview was so easy for me, right? Because when I got there, they're like, oh, okay, like this is the guy from PHP Sandbox. The guy that was interviewing me is a regular user of PHP Sandbox.
Mm.
So the interview was not even anything about, it was just, so tell me about PHP Sandbox. Like everything they asked was about PHP Sandbox. And I saw that, I was like, I will ace this one now, right? And even before the interview ended, they were already telling me, I love the way you guys handle issues and bugs reporting. So, you might struggle with the ones we have here. When I heard that, I already knew I got the job. So, what I'm saying is that you can have a proof of work online, right? Have a portfolio, right? You do something with this tool, right? Put it there, right? You can go on Twitter, go on LinkedIn, tell them that you've done this. Add it there, right? So that when I see your CV, add it to your CV too. So I can click on it and I can go and check and I can see that, this person did, some really nice, you have some really nice stuff here, right? Because more often than not, if I see someone that has a portfolio with reasonable stuff and someone that has certification from MIT, I will pick the guy that has a good portfolio. Because certification simply means you've learned this thing. Certification does not tell me what you can do with it. It just tells me you've learned it. And for a business, what matters is what you can do with what you've learned, not really what you've learned. Do you understand?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think that's really, really spot on, because people sometimes get deceived, right? About, I need to get that certificate and to do that certificate. And sometimes it's about how can you showcase what you have done or what you can do. And even as Toby was saying, this is one of the things that we're trying to achieve at Delft Tech. You see, we said about 8 weeks of training, but out of that 8 weeks, 2 weeks are dedicated specially for projects. Now, and these projects you can put on your portfolio website, and you can put on, you can obviously upload to GitHub, right? Where you can obviously put, so people can see that and see your rationale on how you tackle problems. Your rationale on how you tackle problems, how you write your code, how you write your queries. You understand? These are things that people can see and learn from. So that's really one. Also that's what we're trying to also do, right? I have a couple of questions popping up. Okay, that's a big one, and says, Mr. Toby, please, for someone trying to gain knowledge about something who does not have an idea about the fundamentals of a particular, I'm trying to understand people take a question, or maybe I'll just give you some.
No, I think I understand it. He's saying to use AI to learn, but you don't know the fundamentals, right? So you then use AI, right? For example, to spot errors, if AI makes mistakes. So learning, practicing is part of learning. Okay, what you do to me sounds like you're trying to use AI to practice. You put in the cart before the horse, right? So what I would say is that take out the time to actually learn first, then you can use AI to assist in your practice. And in fact, this is sometimes for me, if I'm trying to learn some new concept, say, for example, I'm learning a new programming language, I deliberately decide not to use anything that will aid me, right? I want to do the whole thing myself, from scratch, right? There are IDs, but I deliberately don't use them, right? And because it stretches your brain and forces you to think, and in a way you are your brain, right? So it's good to. So you can learn first, and you can use AI to aid in your practice. So that's how I think it's. And the part I talk about using is not that, right? Is that there's, and you're interested in seeing how would AI approach it. Then you can have it explain. As I explain it to you, right? It's not knowing anything about it, right?
Yeah.
So approach might just be what is new to you, right? I mean, you can also just tell it. You explain to me like five, but you can start using the example of Superman and Batman. I don't know how good that would really be. So, but yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Anifowoshi. I love how Boluwatife said it. Is that Mr. Anifowoshi? Thank you so much for that. So we have another question here by Ajayi Hannah. She has a couple of questions. Number one, she says, where do you see human AI collaboration heading? Number two, is AI truly independently creative, or is just mimicking human patterns? Number three, how do we hold AI accountable for decisions that go wrong? Number four, is there a risk AI would make humans too dependent on tech?
Okay, so these are just my opinions, right? And they are subject to change. But where do I see human AI collaboration heading? Now, the truth is that I believe there's something called artificial general intelligence, AGI, right? Which is AI being able to generate new knowledge. We are still not there yet, even though different people are trying to claim that they are close, but I don't think so, right? And this ties back into your second question, right? So I'll talk more about it when I get to the second. But what I see is that human AI collaboration is just going to make human beings insanely productive in what they do, right? Anything that is routine, anything that is repetitive, AI will be able to get it done. Right. So that's where I see, and I see it going beyond just what you do on your laptop. Right. I see it going beyond that. I see it extending to even, things around you. Right. We're going to have internet powered stuff all around us, your wristwatches, your television, and stuff like that. Right. So I see it extending even, to every aspect of our day-to-day activities. I believe that AI is very strong in understanding patterns, right? And anything that has a pattern, we can introduce AI to optimize, those flows, right? So that's where I see it heading to, really. And I believe that in a matter of maybe 100 years from now, some of the things we see now that amazes us will become the norm, right? The same way, I can't imagine that there was a world where there was no electricity. Like, how were they living? Like, how? Like, I can't even imagine it, to be honest, right? Or maybe a world where there was no mobile phone. Like, I mean, I was born, when I was born, it was like I had a mobile phone. I didn't have a mobile phone.
No internet.
Or no internet. Imagine a world where we're still using 3G. Right? 3G now feels so worthless. So
I knew when 3G came, it was like,
So I see that some of the things that even amazes us now, would eventually become the norm. Now, more importantly is that I see new jobs being created by AI. There are already some people that are now calling themselves prompt engineers. I think that's nonsense to me, really, because even if you're a prompt engineer, it has to be for a particular field. You can't be a prompt engineer for a software, and you're not a software engineer. How?
Yeah.
Right? But not, for example, I think earlier in the talk, I talked about automation engineers. That's real, right? I've worked with one before, right? And they can help you set up automations, link things in your house, even in your business, and stuff like that. So new jobs will definitely emerge from that. So let me move on quickly. So is AI truly independently? At it, or things that I used to do. So is it independently creative? Not really. Independently creative is when we get to artificial intelligence. Theoretical. There are people that believe that if we get there, then we should start preparing for doomsday. If you have watched Terminator, what's the name of that AI guy?
we've seen those things in movies.
That once you get to that one, you just be preparing. And look at that. Like, a friend was just gisting with me and he said,
That's
yeah. Okay, so you can't hold AI accountable. You can't hold it accountable now. You're not using it. That's why there's always a disclaimer. AI can make mistakes. By using the tool, you've accepted it, and that's that burden of responsibility to you. Right. So that's why businesses, for example, if you work for a company, right, for the companies I work for, right, we don't use the want and no longer being because you afford there are regulations. There's GDPR, there's HIPAA, right? You can't be putting people's information for it. Just upload it and say, yeah, start analyzing. And you're using your personal ChatGPT account. That's wow. If it is found out, you could be in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. So so you are responsible for decisions that go wrong. Is there a risk AI will make humans too dependent on tech? I don't think this is an AI thing. We are already dependent on tech. Why? Because tech makes life easier. Right? For example, we are able to have this call now because of tech. There were so many tech breakthroughs that is making this call possible. So I believe we're already dependent on tech. So will AI make this, increase? Yes. Why? Again, I don't think it's a negative thing. Right? It's just like a mobile phone. Right? There are people that spend 24 hours on the mobile phone, and because they spend 24 hours on the mobile phone, they are making millions of dollars monthly. And there are some other people that also spend 24 hours on the mobile phone, and the consequence of it is that they are spending like 100K on data every month, and that 100K they are borrowing it. So, it's not really about the tech; it's about how you use the tech. So, will people get dependent on it? Yes. To make their life, for me, for example, it makes my life extremely easy. There are things in my life now that are already automated, right? There are things in my life that are automated. I have a voice command that recharges my phone, handles my data, and stuff like that. And I'm looking for more ways to automate these things so that I don't get to think about them, right? So yes, it will make us more dependent on tech. But if it's been a good thing or a bad thing, depends on you as a person.
Thank you so much. That was a very, very loaded answer. Thank you so much. Now we have another question. It's 7:20 now. All right. Mary Gabriel has asked a question, Toby. I don't know if you can see the chat or you just want me to read out. Okay, you can see it. Right. That's the question there.
Okay, so when is the right time to build a portfolio website? You can start building one tonight. Right? People just mentioned that you guys will do some projects and stuff like that. Immediately you do it. In fact, probably Quipe and his team has other things, for you guys. When I organize boot camps, after the very first lecture, you go on Medium, go on Twitter, go on LinkedIn, post about it, say you have started something, right? Put it on your portfolio website, have a blog space, right? Write about it and put it there, right? So I'm saying you don't have to wait till you do some very, very big things, right? You can start from your very next task, right? And write about it. The most important thing is be sincere and genuine about what you're writing, right? Write about the things you learned while doing it, new information that you got exposed to, and things like that. So I don't think you have to wait until you have like big projects. Right. And eventually, right, you would eventually be removing some and be updating it as you handle more technical stuff. But you don't have to wait, until you have big projects. So what are the top 5 AI tools you'd recommend for a data analyst? I will leave that to the
Yeah, that's fine. I'll come back to that question.
Yeah, I'll leave that to him to answer for you. Would you advise that we, the students in this current DevTech course, embrace AI at this beginning stage? So again, like I said earlier, there's always a learning phase, right? And in that learning phase, what you want to be sure of is that you actually understand what you're doing. So that's what matters. So if AI helps you to do that, that's fine. For example, if Tupe gives you an assignment, don't use AI. Don't. Right? Don't use AI. Try to figure it out yourself. Right? Because again, earlier I was talking about experience. So some weeks ago, I was there was an engineering team I managed containing some Indians, and then one of them was having difficulty with something. As I saw it, I was like, I smiled, but yeah, I was trying to show that, that no. He was trying to explain his way out of it. I was like, guys, just gonna sit down. This thing, I faced it 3 years ago, and I know exactly what the problem is, right? That's experience, right? So you will hear me direct him on how to go about it, and you'll be like, this brother knows a lot of things, but I didn't know that by having AI do it for me, right? I knew it because there was a problem I encountered and all of that. So I would say that for your learning phase, right, even if you use AI, use it as, use it sparingly, right? And even if you will use it, ensure that you are the one on the driving seat. Don't submit something you can't explain or something you can't reproduce without the use of AI. That would be a sign to you that you are not actually learning. You are just, trying to. And I mean, this is not a case of a school that you want to just get certificates for getting it safe, right? This is something you want to actually, use for practice. So I would say that don't use it too much, especially for assignments, right? So let your use of it be very minimal. Okay, how do you build a portfolio website? What does it comprise, or what should be there? Projects. I mean, I'm sure people will probably, get to this point, in your training. So I'll just skip that. But I mean, the portfolio website will contain what you want it to contain. It's essentially, think of it as you introducing yourself to people that haven't seen you physically. So think of it as that, right? So for mine, for example, I have a blog post. I have a blog section where I post technical information. I have a note section where I just post random things. I can just post about one nice car that I saw, when I was walking, just random stuff. And that's because I want people to know that I'm not only a programmer, I also live like a normal human being. So it's just how you want, to be presented to people. Okay, in a situation whereby I have a LinkedIn account and I'm willing to build a portfolio, but due to LinkedIn Wahala, my account was suspended. How do I go about filling an? I have no idea how to do that. I'm not even active on LinkedIn, so I don't know. I'll probably repent on that, but I'm not active on LinkedIn. I have no idea how that works. Okay, you mentioned expecting more from interns. What advice would you give a beginner who wants to stand out? A beginner, again, if you are still learning, learn well. Interns are not beginners. There are two different things, though. Interns means that you've learned enough to be able to do something productive, but you don't have experience. Now, we are bringing you into a corporate workspace for you to now start gathering your own experience. Okay, so interns are not beginners. So for an intern, there's a minimum expectation, right? You can't come and say, oh, because I'm just interviewing as an intern, and I ask you, what does select do? You're not like, select, I'm not sure, but if you give me the job, I'll do it. I want to do the job. So an intern is not a beginner. Okay, so learn and learn well. Be very strong in what you do, and AI. You can then use AI to complement your, boosting your productivity. How do we prevent AI from amplifying existing biases in society? This one is not a problem we can solve. That's the truth, right? So I'm currently doing a master's program, and these are I'm currently doing a project around this topic. And the truth is, it's not really something we can do because we are just consumers, right? And we don't really have much say on how these things work, right? But there are government bodies that are actually, monitoring these things, and we just have to trust that they are doing their possible best. The only way you can, the only people that can contribute are people that are really influential enough to make governmental decisions on how this AI are trained. But you can apply it to how do you ensure that in your own interpretation of data and how you handle data, you can apply it in how you prevent those things happening. So which I believe that you will learn during the course of your study here. Okay, how do we know we are actually well? What are the major things we need to put more focus on that makes mastery easier? So how do you know you're actually well? I want to interpret that as how do you know you are growing?
No, learning well.
Oh, you're learning well. Right. So it's simple, right? So you have a curriculum, right? The curriculum has, expectations of what you should be able to do when you are finished learning a particular module. So it's simple. Just go back to it and see, can I do these things they say I should be able to do when I finish learning this thing? So that's a very easy way for you to know, right? So what I would say is focus on the curriculum and try as much as possible to ensure that if you have finished the module and there's something there that you can do, that you say you should be able to do, go back and reread it, right? And practice again. But generally as a career path, right, the way I personally monitor my progress is what was the last very difficult thing that I did? And what's the next very difficult thing that I'll be picking up? That's one of the ways I monitor my own progress personally. Okay, is this the same format for a non-technical skill? Let's say someone who is an email marketer. Is this the same roadmap to follow, or it applies only to tech? I believe it applies generally, right? For an email marketer, for example, right, there are still, fundamental lessons in that field. There are intricacies. For example, I've worked with a marketer before, and the guy tells me that there's a particular mail we send, and he tell me this is the time you should send it, right? I remember there was a time I was working with, I think it was maybe Bosun or someone, and we want to send mails to our users, and we'll be like, don't send it on Monday. Why? He said, Mondays are very busy for people. That's the truth. Most of us don't like Mondays because Mondays, your PM is on your neck. Oh, this deadline, blah, blah, blah. I don't have time for anything you are sending to me on Monday. Don't send it on Friday because I've checked out. I've checked. Right? But so usually we send it between Tuesday, Wednesday, right? So Tuesday, people are now fully in the week and they are fully in the workload. So now, what I've said now, right, is something an email marketer will probably know, right? So in every field, there are this critical knowledge, right, that you need to excel there. So I believe that what we have shared today applies to all fields, actually.
All right, that's perfect. That's perfect. This session started as though nobody would ask questions. Now questions just kept popping in. But thank you so much, Toby. I sincerely appreciate it. You can tell, right, from how Toby speaks of his wealth of knowledge in this industry and in life generally. So thank you so much. That's what I'm saying, which I said earlier. I said it is an honor to have him here. And it's so funny that all of these things are brought to us on the platter, you understand? But it's important that we make good use of it. Toby said something when he started the session. He said, yes, you understand that this is free, but it only means that someone somewhere is paying for this. And that's very, very true, right? In time, in cash, in kind. You understand? Someone is definitely doing something. So I just want us to appreciate Toby again. I want to see the chat. Everybody, I want to see your chats, please. Let me see your chats. Let me really. I thank those that are clapping, but type. Let me see your chats, please. I just want us to we are grateful people here, you understand? So let's thank you so perfect. I can see the chat now. Thanks so much, Mr. Andy Fowushi. Thank you so much. That's perfect. Oh, that's so lovely. Really perfect. Thank you so much. Perfect. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Andy Fowushi, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I've learned a couple of things from this session, and I believe most of us I've also learned a couple of things. Also, I think it was really an impactful session. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Toby. We really appreciate you. I think I might just I might release you now, so I don't hold you onto our call, but we sincerely appreciate you for this time.
All right, thank you so much. It's been an honor speaking to you guys. I wish all of you guys the best in your career. Thank you, thank you, thank you to the entire team.
All right,
thank you for the weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Toby.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Okay. I believe we learned a couple of things, right? Did we? Hello, hello, hello. My lovely Delft Tech team. Or no, I don't know if you guys are my team, or my lovely Delft Tech beginners, or whatever we call it. I hope you guys learned. I'm full already. Happiness says she's full already. You understand? But what if I keep checking your picture? You're just smiling. That picture is a nice picture. You have a smile on that, which is lovely. Oh, Star says she learned a lot, so that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, that's lovely. Let's just try to. What's the time now? This is 7:33, I believe. All right, so let's just try to tidy up a couple of